Right. Hello to all my goobers and fellow maths homework havers out there. It's the Orange Book questions. Yeah. So it's this one first. So that's got to be a 1. So you got to sort that out. I've done this question wrong like 3 times already. So ignore I said that. I didn't say that. So you got to pull out the 4 to the power of a half, because that's that. It's just 1 plus 5 over 4x to the power of a half. And that's literally just 2. It's just square root of 4, which is 2. 1 plus 4x to the power of a half. And that's your problem solved. So now you can expand it binomially. You gotta put a 2 here and the square brackets. So, and then you just gotta do the formula in it. So 1 plus, you gotta sort yourself out first with this template. So it's just 1 plus thingy plus it was thingy over 2 factorial and then thingy. So I like to put the x's like outside of that, so you can just work out what this number is and then times it by whatever's in front of the x. That's got to be squared though, so you got to square that. So I'm going to times it by 2 at the end. So now you just got to sub it in, so that's n, and that's n, and that's m, take 1, so you just got a half, and then 5 over 4x, and then it's n is a half, so n take 1, a half take 1 is 1 over 2, and then 5 over 4x. And you just put these numbers in your calculator, so you got to do, I'm gonna work that out first, and then do everything, so I'll just edit out the calculator stuff, because I'm really slow. Also, I don't know if anybody else forgot where the factorial button is, but I did. So it's options, and you got to go to the next page, prob, and then this really excited x. It's your factorial. Anyway, don't put the arrow. The arrow's not supposed to be there. Yeah. Alright. So I've done that. So you got that number should then become that. So now you can do a half times 5 over 4, and then that times that squared. So you should get 2 on the outside. 1 plus 5 over 8x, and then plus, minus 25 over 128 x squared. And then you want to times all these numbers by 2, because it's been on the outside for like the whole question. Sorry if you can hear my music, by the way. I just like music on. Anyway, 1 times 2, that's 2. 5 over 8 times 2, that's 10 over 8, which is it's just 5 over 4. So simplifies to 5 over 4x. 25 over 128 x squared times 2. That's just going to give you, simplifies to 25 over 64 x squared. And that's your answer to A. I don't know why it's took me 4 minutes to do it, but hopefully the next one's quicker. Alright, I just looked at part B. So you just got to use x equals 10. I should not be looking through my phone while trying to write. That wasn't working. Right, x equals 10. 1 over 10. X equals 1 over 10. Right. And so you want to put it in both things that you've got. So that's going to, if you put it in your calculator for that, it's going to give you an exact answer. Whereas with this, it's going to be more of an approximation, because this isn't the entire thing. It's just the first few terms of the expansion. So that's why it's an approximation. So you're doing 4 plus 5 over 10 to the power of a half. And you put that in your calculator. I just did it then. It's 3 root 2 over 2. What was alright? Oh yeah. 3 root 2 over 2. Alright, and now we're going to do the same thing, just sub it in to this. So we've got 2 plus 5 over 4, 1 over 10, minus 25 over 64, 1 over 10 squared. And if we put that in our calculator, 1 minute, you get this wonderful number. Let me write that down. So it's 543 over 256. This is absolutely horrible. I hate that number. Anyway, so get an approximation of root 2, which is there, which is handy. You're going to do 3 root 2 over 2. You're going to set that, roughly, you can say it's like that, I think. 543 over 256. Apologies for the handwriting also. And then, so that's just root 2 times 3 over 2, and apparently that is 2. So if we times this by, divide this by 3 over 2, we should get an approximation for root 2. So 543 over 256 divided by 3 over 2 equals, let me just do it, 181 over 128. And that's the answer. How many more questions have I got? Oh my god. Explain why substituting x equal... 1 minute. I'm not cutting anything out, by the way. I'm just like pausing it. So, yeah. Alright, it's because t has to be less than 1. And t in this case is 5 over 4 x. That's got to be greater than 1, less than 1 even, sorry. I think it's mod actually, mod, and then, yeah, it is. It's got to be 4 over 5, and because 1 over 10 is between, sorry about that angle, that was, because it's between, because it's the mod, so you do both. I'm not explaining this very well, am I? Because it's between both of them is valid. So that's that. I'll do the next question now. Alright, so that's what you should have your thing looking like. I can have some fun with these jump cuts, but I'm not funny enough. So you just substitute in for part A. I'll just do that. It's going to take like 2 minutes for me, because I'm slow. But it's going to look like a second watch. It'll be really cool. Boo! I told you it'd be cool. So I've subbed in to that equation, that formula thing. Do you like my socks? It says celebrate, then hibernate, and it's got a bear with a Santa hat on it, and he's sleeping. Anyway, so I just gotta start timesing numbers and stuff now. So 1 plus, that's gonna be minus 6x, plus, I'm not doing that in my head, plus 27 x squared, plus minus 108 x cubed, and that's part A done. I'm not looking forward to part B. Should be fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. If I get it wrong, don't laugh at me, because I don't have any answers. That being said, let me just spawn in a table really quick. A grid method. Actually, I didn't actually explain what I'm doing. So, x plus 4, right, over 1 plus 3x squared. That is equal to x plus 4 times by 1 plus 3x to the minus 2. And you might recognize this part from what we did in part A. So we already have the first few terms of that expansion. So we can just use a grid method to do it. Let me spawn one in now. So these are the first 3 terms of this expansion we've just done on the top. We're going to times it by x and plus 4. And so we're just going to be timesing some numbers and then adding some numbers at the end. So 1 times x, that's literally just x. 1 times 4, that's 4. X times, oh, that's supposed to be x, never mind. X times minus 6x, that's minus 6x squared. 4 times minus 6x, minus 24x. X times 27x squared, that's going to be 7x cubed. And 4 times 27x squared, that's 108x squared. So now we're just going to collect like terms in it. So 4 is the only number without an x on it. X plus minus 24x, so it's going to be minus 23x. Got these 2 numbers. Minus 6x and 108x squared. They're both squared, I forgot to say. And that's going to be 102. I don't know why I couldn't do 186, but I didn't want to do that in my head for whatever reason. It's squared. And then the only x cubed term we've got is 27. 27. It's cubed. But it only wanted the first 3 terms, so we don't need that. So it should be that. If it's not, please don't shout at me. You guys, I just found the answers. I was right, so ha! Alright, question 14. We've got that. You're going to make it equal that. I don't actually know if you can see that. So this is the same as saying 1 plus x, 1 minus x, all to the power of a half, which is the same as saying, oh my god, 1 plus x to the power of a half over 1 minus x to the power of a half, which is the same as saying 1 plus x to the half times 1 minus x to the power of minus a half, that's the form we're going to be using for the question. So you don't have to write all that. You could probably do it in it's only 2 steps. You might as well write them all in case you drop marks, but I'm not a teacher, so I don't know. Should be fine with that. Just that actually. But you have to get that. Then we have to use the formula twice. One for this and one for that. And I'm going to time them together. So I'm not going to show you all of that. I'm just going to cut bits. It is 6 marks, so it's going to be a long question. But it's easy. It's just do something twice and then times them together. So, yeah, let me do that. This is how I set out the working. So we've got the formula for this one on this side, and the formula for this one on this side, and times it at the end. So you should probably set yours out in a similar way. Or don't. I just filled in the formulas with the numbers that the formula needs. And the answers will be here. Alright, so I've done it. So you should get 1 plus a half x minus an eighth x squared. And the 3 dots are there because it does go on, but this question only wants the first 3 terms. This one, 1 plus a half x again, plus 3/8 x squared. And then you got times all that together. So that should give you... Oh, my music went off. What the hell? Oh, the album finished. I'll go put something else on. 1 minute. So guys, are we feeling Cannibal Corpse or Radiohead today? It's just so hard to do with one hand. What the hell? Gnome. I'm pretty sure you saw me in the mirror. Gnome. We're going with Suicide Silence today, guys. I actually don't know how I'm going to do this one with one hand. I'm just going to make that spawn into there with the jump cuts. Damn, was that smooth or what? I should actually get back to maths. Oh, okay, I'm leaving that in. So, what do we do now? Alright, so we're gonna do like the crab method, but with like 3 claws. So it's like 1 times 1, that's 1. 1 times a half x, that's gonna be a half x. 1 times 3/8 x squared. I'm not gonna do the full thing, I'll just like cut to it. But that's what you gotta do. Oh, it's not going to take that long, but make sure you don't include any of the terms, like, say you do 1/, a half x times 3/8 x squared. That's going to give you something x cubed, and that's not in the question, so just don't bother doing that. Just do the ones that will give you up to x squared, if you know what I mean. So the only other one is minus 1/8 x squared times 1. So any more x's times by that, you're gonna get like x cubed, and you don't need that in the question. You just look at this and then collect the like terms, and that's your answer. And your answer is in the question. It's just that. So I'm gonna do part B now, and then Ashley's gonna do the next question, I think. But part B is like really short, so. Alright, so this question lets you substitute x into what you've just done, so it's just the same as last time. So you substitute it into the original expression, so that's going to give you 3√3/5, and then you substitute your new x into what it expanded to, so it's just 1 plus 1/26 plus a half 1/26 squared, and that'll give you 1405/1352. I know, what a lovely number. So then you can set your 3√3/5 equal to your... I should put the camera on that. So you can set that, you 3√3/5 equal to you 1405/1352. So if you divide this by 3/5, you'll just get your approximation for √3. So 1405/1352 divided by 3/5 equals... Alright, my calculator keeps giving me in decimals and not fractions, which is not ideal. So it's just 7,025/4,056. And that's the answer. I think you'll get away with the decimals as well, but if it does that, just times that by that and that by that, and then just put them over each other. So that's done. I think Ashley's got the next question. Bye!
Hello and welcome to binomial expansion. This part of binomial expansion is specifically going to be the bit where the thing in the bracket, your first term usually, is not a 1, which is how it normally is, but in the special cases it's not a 1, which is how they really trip you up on it. So we're going to be starting on question 15, which is page 87 of the pack 1 orange on the team's assignment. So what you got to do when this isn't a 1, I'm sure you already know, it's pretty obvious. You just factorise out 4. and then you get this line here, which is also, again, pretty obvious. It's just dividing through by 4. Thing you need to not forget, though, which could be quite easy to forget, it is very easy to forget, is you need to also raise this 4 to the power that the original bracket was by, which is obviously a half, which brings it down to 2. And you can make this easy on yourself by just leaving that till later. You're not going to do you're not going to do yourself any favors if you leave it in and start worrying about it and then make some silly errors. So, we're only going to x squared in this first question, which is pretty nice for a change, because you only have to do times these two, and then you have a pretty nice fraction up here, actually. So, this is the kind of layout you want in the exam, really, because it's really easy for the examiner to kind of go through and see, yep, that's right, that's right, that's right, tick, 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 it's done, that's it. Which makes the examiner's life pretty easy, and yours too, because you get the marks. So, here what you've got, you need to do the power times by the coefficient of x, which in this case is 5/4. So what you're going to do here is going to do 1 plus 5/8. Pretty easy stuff, it's just multiplication. And again here, you're going to do the power, but then it's the power take 1. So it's going to be a half times by minus a half, because you take away 1. Shocker, over 2 factorial. So it starts off with 1 factorial, 2 factorial, 3 factorial, so on if it asks you to, but it's not in this question. And obviously 1 factorial, you can just ignore that and leave it as it is. But then you've also got to times it by the coefficient of x squared. So it's the number of factorials you've got, and that's the power you're going to be doing to your coefficient of x. So it's just 5/4 squared, and you've also got your x squared. You need to not forget that. So simplifying that out, you get 1 5/8 plus minus 1/4 over 2 factorial, 25/16 x squared. So now simplifying this, it's a bit of a pain because you've got a lot of fractions over fractions, which is never really nice. Ugh. Now, one way I like to think about fractions over fractions is if you do this, it's like writing that. Ignore that. Got a bit ahead of myself. But one way you can also write it, which won't come as a shock to you, is like that, which could also help simplifying. So if you do 1 plus 5/8, take away 25/128, and then obviously simplify that. Oh, you can simplify that if you want. It does say in its simplest form, each coefficient in its simplest form. I'm not going to do that purely because I don't want to. I'm not exactly going to lose marks in my own home on my own paper, but just remember, in an exam, make sure you simplify. But also, I've just done it here, and this is what I mean. You need to remember this 2 up here. So really, the actual answer is 2 plus 5/4 minus 25/64 x squared. And that is the final answer. So, all that there is 5 marks. And really, when you think about it, it's just a bit of multiplication and then just a bit of simplifying. Nothing too crazy. I mean, we all know multiplication and simplifying. It's pretty simple stuff. Part B, it doesn't really get too tricky. It's just find the exact value of this when x equals 1/10. For that, it's 1 mark, so you know it's not going to be anything crazy. It is literally just 4 plus 5, 1/10 to the half. And again, simplify that. So you times it out, it's 5/10, or sometimes a half. 4 plus a half is just going to be 8/2 plus a half, which is 9/2 to the half. So it's 3/√2. Pretty simple stuff, nothing too crazy. It's just simplifying and subbing in, which is a lot of this topic actually. It's just subbing in when it comes to part B. Next is part C. Substitute x equals 1 over 10 into your binomial expansion from part A, which is this here, that there, and hence find an approximate value for root 2. So, for this one, what you're going to be doing is, well, I mean, it says it in the question, substitute x equals 10 into your binomial expansion. So it's 1 plus, oh, I forgot the x there. Don't forget the x there, because it'll mess up the whole thing and you won't get the marks. This is a bit embarrassing how I forgot that actually. But it's the first time, so I'm allowed to make mistakes. So, simplify that out. And we know that when x equals 1 over 10, it approximately equals this here, 3 over root 2. But it's approximate because we've not expanded the full thing, so it's only approximate. So that's why we do the wavy equals, which is probably, again, not a shock to any of you. And then from here on out, it's just, again, simplification. So it's root 2 approximately equals 3 over this simplified, which is 1 plus 5 over 80 minus 25 over 6400, because it's a 10 squared, don't forget. You need to simplify that. I've not got my calculator on me, but I mean, we all have calculators and brains, so it shouldn't be too difficult for any of you guys watching this. But yeah, once you simplify that, you've got your approximate value for root 2, and it also says give your answer in the form p over q. So you can keep this as a fraction, so all you have to really do is simplify this bottom one, which is literally just typing into the calculator, which isn't anything too insane. But after that, that is literally 5, 6, 8 marks. 1 page of working for 8 marks when it's just subbing in and calculator work pretty much. But if you've got this, format here and you remember your x, you should be all right. It's not too difficult. Hello, welcome back to part 2 of binomial expansion. This part 2, it should have been part 1, but the question is later on in the pack, so don't shout at me. This one is going to be question 3 on page 90 of the pack 1 orange again. And this one is a lot nicer, as I say, because what we've got here is a square root of 1 minus 8x, and you may notice that that is a 1, so you don't have to do anything to the bracket to begin with. You can just go straight into the question. And this one is looking for the term, well, up to the term x cubed. It's a bit further than the last one, but nothing too crazy, nothing that's gonna make you cry or whatever. So again, start off with the format. We've got, actually no, first thing first, rewrite as a power. So you've got 1 minus 8x to the half. I mean, you're not going to die if you forget to do that, but it just looks nicer, so if you've got time you might as well. But now we get into our format, so we've got 1, then you've got plus, put space for the 2 things there, plus again, 2 things there, and don't forget the coefficient of x squared and your actual x squared. And again, I forgot my x there. Over 2 factorial. Because that will be 1 factorial. That's 2 factorial. And then you've got the next one, which is 3 factorial on the bottom. Now this one is cubed because, again, the factorial matches the power. And also, it's the next x to whatever power next in the sequence. And if you remember here, you've got the power minus 1. So here, shockingly, it's the power minus 2. So you've got the power minus 1, power minus 2. So start off with this one here. So you've got 1 minus 8 times by half, minus 4. Nothing too crazy there. Now you might want to hold off on simplifying this straight away if you don't feel comfortable to. You won't want to get it wrong straight away. So you get your half minus a half minus 8 squared x squared over 2 factorial. And then next, you've got your half, or minus a half, and your half minus 2, which is minus 3 over 2. All over 3 factorial times by minus 8 cubed, and then your x cubed. So going with simplifying this, you've got 1 minus 4x, I forgot it again. And then simplifying this is minus a quarter times by 64. So I've got my calculator for that one because I don't want to do it in my head and then get it wrong, which would be pretty embarrassing for something so simple. Minus 16, shocker. But then divided by the 2 factorial. So minus 16 divided by 2 is just minus 8. So yeah, that's right. So x squared. And then next, you know that this is going to be minus a quarter. So then you've got times by minus 3 over 2, which is positive, because minus is minus. Positive 3 over 8. So then you've got 3 over 8 times by minus 8 cubed. I'm not going to do that in my head, because I don't want this to be 3 minutes longer than it needs to be. So what was that? 3 over 8 times by 8 to the power of 3, which is 192. But then there are no, oh no, there's one minus because there's a cube, so it'd be minus times minus times another minus. So it's minus 192 over 3 factorial x cubed. Simplifying that, you get 192 over 6, which is 32. So you get 1 minus 4x minus 8x squared minus 32 x cubed. And that's the end of the, oh, hang on. And that's the end of the first question, which was 4 marks, which isn't too bad for just having a formula, subbing in, and simplifying. And plus, most of it's calculator work as well, so it's literally 3 marks. Next question is the same as it usually is with part B's on binomial expansion. Show that when x equals 1 over 100, blah, blah, blah. So, it's the same every single time, or 9 times out of 10. We've got 1 minus 8, subbing in x equals 1 over 100. Put your brackets to the power of a half. Because it is 2 marks, it's probably going to want you to simplify that and then square root it, but I'm not the examiner. So 1 minus 8 times 1 over 100 is 23 over 25. All to the half, which equals root 23 over 5. Again, 2 marks, pretty easy, because you just put it in your calculator and square root 25, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Now next, again, part C, usually the same if part B is the subbing in one. Substitute x equals 1 over 100 into the binomial expansion of part A, and obtain an approximation to root 23. So, we know that this here, root 23 over 5, is approximately equal to our binomial expansion when x equals 1 over 100. And it's approximate because we didn't expand it all the way. Now, what you got, I've got my calculator this time so I can actually work this out. But if you just solve that, so we've got 1 minus 4, 1 over 100, minus 8, 1 over 100, squared, minus 32, 1 over 100, cubed, and that is 0.959168. So root 25 over 5 is approximately that. But we want the approximation to root 23. Oh, I put 25, haven't I? Bad handwriting. Yeah, that's why I should always reread the question in case you do something silly like that. And that would cost you 3 marks. But to get that root 23 on its own, you just times by 5. Shocker. Which is 4.79584. Now, I wouldn't get the final mark because, wait, yeah, I would. Never mind. I've not read the question. It usually says 3 decimal places, but it says 5. But if that did say 3 decimal places, you wouldn't get the mark for that. But yeah, so root 23 approximately does equal 4.79584. And that's that. 8 minutes for a, what's that, 9-minute question. Not too bad. Pretty easy, and I was going through it quite slow as well. So questions like these are worth doing in the exam because they are easy marks for what they are. It's just calculator work. And that is it.